Hey, all y'all. So excited for you to be here today. My name is Dr. Brett Brimhall. I literally move patients around to be on this call because Angie asked me to do this call. I couldn't say no. In my heart is a special place for children and for families that struggle with individuals with special needs. And my hope is that from the stories you'll hear today and the impact that's possible, that you'll share with those that you love and care about to get to know about this information now. We need an army of people sharing this information to give people hope. At the end of the day, we want our kids to, number one, be safe, right? Then we want them to be successful. And whatever that means, for them to be able to be safe and successful in life, and to be able to see them, like to truly see the possibility that's in them. And if I've worked with kids literally for 25 plus years, teaching and training all across the world, the things and the individuals I learned from are not my successes, they're my failures. And because I'm here because of what was a failure, because it's the best I could help this little boy, it became a success when I learned about this breakthrough technology. So you get to hear some amazing stories, but I want to paint a picture for you a little bit of what you're about to hear. All right. So when it comes to special needs, it can be a wide range of different things, but you've heard of different phrases, whether it's ADD, autism, or anything else. All I want you to know is, as medical people, we have a combination of people that have different symptoms or different signs, and we have to give it a name to put them in a box to try to give them certain therapies. All right. The bottom line is, when people aren't able to fully express themselves or manifest the full potential they have, it's because they have systems that are not functioning optimally. So that goes back to why. What are the systems that, if we could improve them, that perhaps we could help them have more success and be more safe? As the world works today, I had treated a patient that's been in the world of, has a school, and she just took a training. She told me this number: 1 in 44 kids are now diagnosed in America with autism spectrum. 1 in 44. All right. So why is that? And is there anything we can do about it? It's absolutely can. All right. So here's just a quick study. You can find this later if you're on PubMed. This just talks about people that are on this spectrum. But all I want you to understand is what's really going on inside their brains. So all I want you to know is that what the studies are finding, and this was clear back in 2010, that was 13 years ago. That's a long time ago when it comes to science, right? That newer evidence reveals that autism spectrum, which is associated with any type of neurodevelopmental process, deals with what's called oxidative stress, decreased methylation. If you don't know these terms, it's okay. Limited production of glutathione, mitochondrial dysfunction, intestinal dysbiosis, increased toxic metal burden, immune dysregulation, characterized by a unique inflammation, bowel disease, immune activation of neuroglial cells, and ongoing brain hyperperfusion, meaning the brain doesn't get blood. All right, so if that's the real problem, right, we can do all the therapies in the world, which is what we do, but what if we could enhance how the body handles these problems? All right, and that's what this is about. We're going to talk about a couple of them. One of them was called oxidative stress. So this is the root cause of hundreds of problems that people deal with every day. Because if you live on this planet and you breathe oxygen, you have oxidative stress. And we happen to give it a name based on where in the body it happens. So if you want to look at a place later for fun and research, go to what's called pubmed.gov, and you can look up oxidative stress as it relates to any particular diagnosis you've heard about, and you're going to find a correlation. So then the question becomes, what can I do about it? All right. So back in 2003, this product was developed because they wanted to find a way to get the body to reduce the oxidative burden on the body. So your grandma said, eat your fruits and vegetables, which you should. But they spent years, a couple of decades, actually trying to find a drug and then find a combination of 5 natural ingredients combined together that reduce that burden in your cells by an average of 40% in 30 days. So there's a video that shows an ABC news reporter, John Quinones, go in and have his blood work done. 2.5 weeks later, it shows that stress level dropped by 45%. If you haven't seen that, just ask whoever invited you to this to watch that, so you kind of know where the story started. Because we have oxidative stress, the choices of how you handle it absolutely matters. Now, it's not the plant itself that reduces oxidative stress, it's the combination of the plant. It turns the gene switches on. This process, we call that activation. So just like when you see somebody all of a sudden be able to learn something and retain it and remember and recall it, that's activation. So this process of activation, of turning on the switches inside the body to reduce what's called oxidative stress. But going back to the original study, LifeVantage that makes this product Protandim looked at those other processes as well, those other systems, and turned on how to turn on those switches as well. So when that aired, this led to hundreds of studies done across the world, but 32 are published on what's a place called PubMed.gov. If you want to go look at them, great, research them so you can have that validation that they're real. These are places like Mayo's Clinic, LSU, Harvard, like big schools validating the science of what this product can do to reduce oxidative stress. Because it's not only for those individuals that are struggling, but for every human on the planet. Many people don't feel the process of oxidative stress, but you can see it, right? You can see it if you know how to look for it. So we use different product lines. One of them you see is what's called the collagen. So this is an activated collagen. Now, this has been a game changer for us. And people might wonder, why are you talking about this relationship to brain-based problem? Because your brain has a lot of collagen in it, right? It's what protects the barrier between your brain and your blood. Well, this also in your intestinal tract. You can literally see the process of aging in your skin, but you feel the process in your body. So this is what got me to LifeVantage. All right, this particular this boy, this is my nephew's handwriting. Okay, so when I first saw what I saw in this little boy who I'd worked with over a year, I watched him unfold in front of my eyes, and his life consisted of 35 hours of therapy a week. Like his life was seeing therapists. He thought they were his friends because that's all he saw. So when I saw him have massive changes after he started this product called Axio, which is a combination of different plant extracts, right, sweetened with a natural stevia, so that you can get it into the person. And what that does for this little guy, he went from the bottom of the class to the top of his class, which led to me using this with my nephew. This is my nephew's handwriting. So he struggled in school, one of those kids that never did well in school, had to stay in at recess, right? Didn't play well with others, always getting in trouble because he couldn't focus to save his life. Well, this was his handwriting, and his mom sent us his handwriting 2 weeks later after he started the Protandim and the Axio, and that's his handwriting on the right. This little boy, I literally watched him play volleyball yesterday. He's now very successful in school, playing well in sports with other people, vastly different because of activation. So every time I see this, I don't think about handwriting. I think about a little guy that thought his capacity to be successful was like the handwriting on the left. And now his capacity to be successful because his brain works as it should manifest in what you see on the right. So this same process and activation is in all of our products, like collagen, because we activate the body, replenish it, and we help it maintain what it has. So, and this is everywhere. It's not just skin deep, it's in every part of your body. 25 to 35% of the proteins in your body is collagen, right? If you look at this picture here, you'll see what it looks like. You can look in the mirror and you can see your process of aging. What if you could turn switches on to change that, right? But the same thing goes true. What if you could turn the switches on inside the brain that would change the brain's ability to perform, that could manifest into somebody feeling more successful in life? That's literally what we have our hands on. So all the products that LifeVantage makes, and we're not going to go through them all, are tied to this process known as activation. So I want you to hear real stories from real people and what they've seen and what they're experiencing with those they love and those that trust them. So what I'm going to do is just give you a highlight. Like, we are truly a company leading the way in activation. Headquartered in Utah, publicly traded, a debt-free company. We have a compensation plan to help people that want to find other ways to generate revenue for their families. We do it through social sharing. So you're here because somebody cares about you. At the end of the day, unless we're helping people, which our goal is to help millions of people have better health, like, we also want to help other people have better finances. And you can turn this into a turnkey system, and you don't have to manage a bunch of inventory like I've had to do for years. And you have a phenomenal community, which you're going to meet some of them today. So I want you to hear real stories from these individuals. Now I'm going to stop my share because I want you to see these people. Okay. So we're going to start. Dr. Hatch, are you on? Because I see your face. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself.
I'm on. Can you hear me?
I can. So guys,
Awesome.
I'm excited for you to hear Dr. Hatch. He's been in clinical practice for close to 30 years. He's actually a cousin of mine. And I want you to hear his story. He might have practiced for over several decades, and we taught and trained physicians all across the globe. And I want you to hear the story about his own personal family and what this has done for them. So Dr. Hatch, take it away.
All right. Hey, hi, everybody. Glad to be on. I'm actually jumping between patients right now here at my office. So I just wanted to actually take a little bit of time and share with you my story, my journey. So I've actually been treating patients with chiropractic and nutrition and acupuncture for over 30 years, and I have phenomenal results. But something occurred a few years back. I was trying to work on one of my own daughters. We took her through everything through school. From the time she was little, she was very strong-willed, which I love that about my kids. They're very strong-willed. They're very headstrong, and they're going to do what they need to do. But she struggled in school, and she had teachers that didn't quite understand how to teach her and different things. And so when she struggled, it kind of affected a little bit about just how she dealt with school a little bit. And it was crazy. So she ended up getting an IEP, and she started doing special education classes and special times that she went out and worked with people. And she did that from the time about 4 or 5 years old, or about 5 or 6 years old to a junior in high school. And so it was pretty crazy. I had tried everything that I knew. I did nutrition with her. I did chiropractic with her. I did acupuncture with her. I did everything I could think of to help her. And I got very little changes, to the point that we were still doing things. Now, this kid could sit down and play a piano like no tomorrow. She could draw you a picture like no tomorrow. Her right brain was amazing. It worked perfectly well. And she could actually do anything like that, but she could not read something and understand what she read. And so she used to describe it like this. I'll describe it in other words. She says, Dad, I used to go in, the IEP teacher used to read me the question, explain the answers to me, and I guessed. Does anybody have anybody that does that? The struggles in that aspect of things. And it's heartbreaking because you want your kids to be successful. My biggest concern, and my wife's biggest concern, is making sure our kids are able to go out into society and be able to be protected and not be taken advantage of, and different things of that nature, because that concerned me with the learning abilities and different things. My dad was passing away. I'm going to fast forward to 2014. My dad was passing away and is at the hospital on the east side of the valley, close to where Dr. Brimhall practices. He gave me a call. He says, hey, I want you to come and meet some doctors and hear about a new product. I'm always open to learning, okay? Because I don't have all the answers. I want to know what it is I can do to help patients and help people get better. And so I went over, listened to a couple of doctors. I met Dr. Redarty there, and Dr. Neil. And you know, it was great to hear about it, but I was kind of in a funk. And as I was getting ready to leave, a gal by the name of Carrie Williams shared a story with me. And she told me about her son who had Dr. Brimhall has already shared the story, had autism, and what their journey was. What Brett didn't know, or Carrie knew at that time as I left, is that my daughter was struggling with those things, and that struck my heart. That made me start thinking, what if this answer to help her become better and more of what she needs to become? So my dad passed away, and we had his services, and into December, Brett called me and says, what do you think? I said, well, I'm going to just jump in and do it because I am interested in it for my daughter, and shared a little bit of the story. So we started, myself and Allison, on the product. Allison now is 20 something years old anyway. We started on the product. And so within 15 days, she started in January when we got the product. 15 days on it, she meets me at the door at my house and she says, Dad, I've got to tell you something. I says, what's that? She says, I took a test today. She says, the IEP teacher did not have to read the questions to me. They didn't have to tell me what the answers were. And she says, I think I did really, really well. And she did. She actually ended up acing that test. And I thought, that is crazy. From that point on, her confidence grew, her ability to understand. We started unlocking things I was not able to unlock with regular nutrition, with regular chiropractic, with a regular acupuncture, brain tap work, and different things that I use in my office. So I wasn't able to do that. But to watch her unfold, she graduated that 2 years later, and she graduated with 3.25 grade average. This is a kid that had 2.0 grade average, okay, or better, an IEP teacher helping her. And she actually had the opportunity to go to college. So it was really cool. Now she's a mom of two and is raising two amazing kids, and helping her husband get through school as he goes and becoming an airline pilot. So this changed my life in the fact that I helped my daughter, and it made a difference in her life. And there's just tons of things I could tell more about, but that's what I want you to know is if I wouldn't have been open to looking at this and trying it, and if I had just been really closed-minded, I wouldn't have seen the results or had the miracle had happened in my family. So anybody out there, I hope this is helpful for you and will help you get some answers for what you're looking at.
That's I appreciate you taking that time. I know you're between patients, but thank you for taking the time to share your story and impacting others. Love you, man.
You're
So,
welcome.
so the next person we have is Christabel. And Christabel, she's from Chicago. She is a speech and language pathologist for over 21 years. And literally her life obviously has been working with kids, not only her own, but others. And just can't wait for you guys to be able to hear her story and what she's seen.
Guess I got to unmute first. Thank you so much. I am just so honored to be on this call. Helping and serving the special needs community never gets old. So my heart and soul really resides here. So thank you. I'm honored to be here. I just joined LifeVantage last July. I started as a customer. It did not take me any convincing to fall in love with the products. I quickly joined as a consultant shortly after, really just because it was also interesting and, it was going to help, maybe pay for some of my products. So I just kind of stuck around and listened, and, it doesn't take long to be blown away by the people, by the stories, by the science, by the company. So I won't take up too much time because the real superheroes on this call are the parents, but, I will say over the course of my career, I've seen, and we've all seen, the drastic rise in the prevalence of neurodevelopmental disorders. And what is more important to us as parents than our children? Nothing, arguably nothing. We would all give probably everything and anything to see our kids be happy and healthy and well. So that's why this work is so important and so special to all of us. And so overwhelming to these families, to say the least. And there's just so many treatment options out there. So many, so many different therapies, so many different therapeutic techniques, so many different services and providers and medicine. And, families really are limited in money and time and resources. So this really is another option for them. And it happens to be natural, plant-based, backed with incredible science and incredible stories, and really inexpensive, especially compared to, the price of all of these services and these therapies, which, by the way, a lot of times insurance isn't covering. So, I also like that idea of, people who have tried everything, because the, mission, like Dr. Brett was talking about, of LifeVantage is really going back and fixing and activating the cell. Our cells make tissues that make organs, that make systems, that make us as human beings. So it makes perfect sense. But my story and my purpose here with LifeVantage is still developing, but I'm realizing, now in real time, that this is just much bigger than me. It's much bigger than selling products. It's much bigger than any fears I have about doing something new. When you hear people say, once you know this, once you stick around for long enough and you hear all of this, you can't unknow it. And it really does become an obligation and a purpose and a calling to share this with others, and a disservice for us not to share this with others. So for those of you, that maybe, considering the business side of it, a lot of us come in here and we say, I have no, sales experience. I've never sold anything. I've never worked in network marketing. But what I'm realizing, especially this week in all these special presentations about just LifeVantage across the industries, is that we're all just really doing what we've always done. We've always connected with people and wanted to help people and wanted to serve people. So thank you. And I'm excited for the future. And like Dr. Brett said, there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of sharing to be done. So if you are new to this call and any of this speaks to you, we urge you to give it a try, reach out to the person who sent you here, share it with someone. It could just change your life. And if you are not sure, I would just encourage you to keep listening with an open mind and an open heart. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your heart and your time, and thank you for impacting so many. It really matters. Thank you. So now we have Karina, and she lives in Oklahoma, And she has some bitty kids, and just her love as she's working as a professional in local elementary school and done this for 15 years. And so I can't wait for you to hear her experience and her stories with all of this.
Thank you so much for having me on this call and being able to share our story. Actually, my story starts with my oldest son, Carson, who's 15 years old. He had a sudden health crisis a few years ago. Actually, it was December 15th, 2018. I'll never forget that date. It was something that felt like that it came out of nowhere. He had been relatively healthy most of his life. And so it was shocking. He was having episodes, and these episodes were happening more and more frequently. And unfortunately, with that came some behavioral changes that we saw. His behaviors at school became pretty severe. We were dealing with aggression and eloping and getting phone calls from school asking us to come pick him up on most days. And the school, you know, they can't say anything, but they encourage us to seek therapy for him. And so we put him in full-time therapy Monday through Friday. And even though with some medications, his episodes were controlled, his behaviors still were not controlled. And that was the time in my life when, you know, it was pretty stressful, and a friend reached out to me and shared this information with me. And I started taking these products because I was worried. I was wanting to be the best mom, caregiver I could possibly be. And as the saying goes, I just was wanting to put my oxygen mask on first before I felt I could help him. So I knew the science before I started the products, but I didn't know that these products were what I had been wishing for him. When things just didn't seem to be getting better, he was on all the medications and in full-time therapy, I decided to sneak the products into his diet. And within 3 to 4 weeks, we were getting positive feedback from the therapy center. And they were saying, you know, he seems to be cooperating better, and he's having good days. And to my surprise, they were saying, we need to sit down and, you know, start talking about getting him back into school. And so, you know, we noticed things at home as well. He always seemed really tired to us, and he just seemed to be sleeping better. He didn't have the bags under his eyes. He wasn't yawning as much. He wasn't as irritable. So we felt like, you know, this, and one other thing is he was starting to describe his dreams to us. He had never done that before. So we were just seeing so many good changes happening. And he was just sleeping so much. The quality of his sleep, I feel like, got better. So sorry, I'm trying to stay on time, but you know, within a few months after that, we were slowly getting Carson back into school, and he was able to go back full time, and he's been back full time ever since. And he's doing really well. I can't believe he's going to be a freshman next year. And, you know, we also stopped his medication for his episodes, and it's been a year and a half since he's been off the medications, and he hasn't had another episode. So to say we are grateful, I mean, we are beyond grateful for these products and this company. And when I had family and friends asking me how he's doing, I just had to share. And so share his story and share these products. And so that's why I became a consultant with this company. And I am so happy that I get to share his story today with everybody. So thank you.
Such a blessing to all of us and your son. I love the reality of like putting your oxygen mask on first, because we all need it. And I think there should be a title called Dr. Mom, because they're by far more educated than most doctors have ever been around, because they want to figure out what they can do to help their children and then to share that with others. So thank you for being willing to share with us. And I'm so grateful for his success and the success you can help others have.
Thank you.
So now you get to meet Kristen Bailey. So I remember meeting her. She's a bundle of fun, high energy. And again, just an example of what a mom will do for their child. She has, background in social work and a degree in human development, like just a huge passion for everything fitness. But I'm just excited for you to get to hear her story and her journey and the impact that we want to make together in helping other people.
Thank you so much. Wow. Guys, are you as blown away by all these stories? And I mean, this is so much. I think I've cried 4 times. I'm going to try to hold it together. Thank you, Christabel and Karina, and Dr. Brett and Blythe, so much for sharing your heart and who you are. And this is just a small fraction of what LifeVantage is all about. Let me just tell you, if you're new and just hearing about this for the first time, this is our family. So welcome to it, because it's huge and we have a lot of love to give. So yes, like he said, I'm Kristen Bailey. My background is in early intervention. I was an early intervention specialist for 5 years. I worked with kids with developmental disabilities. It was one of the best 5 years of my life. I learned so much from these kiddos. And I always tell people that I truly believe that God was setting me up for something to come. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew that I needed to reach more. It wasn't just my kiddos in my classroom. I knew I had a desire to do more, to be more, to be able to share more. And I had all of these amazing parents coming to me, what else can we do? We're in all these therapies, we're doing all this, and I didn't have the answers. And I prayed so hard. I got out of teaching when I had my own son, Grant, who is now 8 years old. And it was very clear, even by the time he was 1.5 years, that Grant was having some difficulties. He wasn't coping, like the normal child, quote unquote, but he was having a lot of behavior problems. He was not eating well, not sleeping well. His speech and language was delayed, just a lot of things. So we got him into early intervention at the age of 2.5, and he was in therapy about 25 hours a week from age 2.5 until 4. And we were trying everything. My life was dedicated to getting my son everything that he needed. And with that, I couldn't go back to teaching. So I bartended, and I would change at the bar after working at night, and I would put on my gym clothes, and I would go and open the gym, and I would teach, do personal training. And that's how I survived. And I don't know about you guys, but that's not surviving. That's literally existing. And it was a rat race for me. But Grant was getting his therapy, and that was what I was focused on. During that time, I got injured, and I often go back to this, and I say it again, hard times are often a blessing in disguise. I got injured. I could not work both of my jobs. I had no money coming in, and I was desperate to feel better. That's when someone I love and trust introduced LifeVantage to me. I got on the products. I fell in love with them. And then again, I started realizing what oxidative stress does to our brains. And that opened up a whole nother world to me. And it was absolutely like this ripple effect. So guess what I did? Over Christmas break, I snuck, just like Karina snuck it into his food, I snuck it into Grant's smoothie, and he had his special smoothie every day. And within 2 weeks, he went back from break. His teachers were all asking, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And the aha moment for us too was when we went to my parents' house at Christmas, and his eye contact had been he hardly had any eye contact at that time. And his language was not functional, but we opened the door to my parents' house, and he looked at my mom right in her eyes, and he said, "Hi, Mimi, Merry Merry Christmas. And everyone cried. It was a moment that I will never, ever forget, but it was also a moment of, okay, Kristen, now it's your job to share with the world what you have your hands on, what we have our hands on, because it's not just about my son, it's about every one of your children and all of the children of our world, and how much of a massive impact this could be. And like Christabel said, and it is all natural, and it's proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40%, proven. Don't take my word for it. Do your research. So that in itself, that was, I ran with it, and I have many of my past students and their families all activated, and that ripple effect has changed so many lives. I have another son who is an activated baby, but I just can't say it enough. Honestly, what we have our hands on is something that needs to be shared, and we have an obligation to do so. I will never go a day without, sharing, without talking about it to someone, because people are on their hands and knees. And like I said, get with the person that invited you. If you have questions, reach out. We are all in this together. And I thank you guys for coming on today. And I'm just grateful to be here. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart. I think I cried a couple of times. Good thing you guys can't see that, but guys, I hope something resonated with you. I want you to know that the cumulative effect of being activated can have a significant impact on you and those you love. The cumulative effect of not being activated also can have a cumulative effect. So please, like, if something resonates with you, get your questions answered, like, do your research, but get activated, and help us help others get activated, because we got a big world to help. All right, you guys have a phenomenal day, and we'll talk soon.